Daniel Jeremiah's Mock Draft 1.0 just released, and there's a pick, and it might surprise you. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the whole thing, but we're also going to do a film breakdown on the prospect that he picked for the San Francisco 49ers at 11. Good news, he took an offensive lineman. Bad news, he might have passed on the guy that you wanted. Let's take a look at what he had set up. We're just going to look at the first 11, maybe 15 picks just to get an idea of who went after and the range. So let's get right into it. Again, to me, Daniel Jeremiah is the best in the game right now when it comes to being prominent media who does draft analysis. He's just the best. It is. I think he could be a general manager one day. Like, he's really that good. Former scout. It was funny. I feel vindicated by this because I was getting into an argument with a fan about I didn't think Shedeur Sanders is going to go number one, and I got into an argument over with a fan about it, and I was like, I think Abdul Carter is going to go number one. And he's like, you're crazy. I think he even called me. I'm not even going to go there. But anyways, Abdul Carter is the number one pick to the Tennessee Titans. I think we all would love Abdul at 11, but his draft stock is at an all-time high. Travis Hunter goes to Cleveland Browns. Cam Ward to the New York Giants. Will Campbell, you guys know I've been talking about Will Campbell. He goes number 4. I've been saying he's the offensive tackle 1 of this class, and I've been saying it really early on since I got into the offensive lineman, and it appears he feels the same way. Another guy that 49er fans like is Mason Graham. He goes 5 to the Jags, Shedeur Sanders to the Raiders. Then you have Tyler Warren. This one was a surprise to me to see him go into the top 10, just because although I think he is a phenomenal prospect, I actually didn't think he was I don't think he's a better tight end than Brock Bowers. So maybe the reason why he goes in the top 10 and Brock Bowers doesn't is because there was a lot better quarterbacks that were available in last year's draft opposed to now. McMillan, absolutely love him as a wide receiver. He's one of my favorite prospects in this class going to the Panthers. You have Michael Williams to the Saints, Tyler Booker, offensive guard, to the Chicago Bears. I haven't done work on him. I'll need to look at him. And then you can see right there the 49ers select Armand Membo, and this is what Jeremiah says. He says, Membo is the most technically sound offensive lineman in this class. He reminds me of Elijah Vera Tucker when he entered the league. Membo will be an exceptional guard who can also play tackle. So I think what you're hearing from Jeremiah is he views this as a guard fit for the 49ers at left guard. You see Genty goes to the Cowboys. I would assume a lot of fans want Kelvin Banks to go. As I've kind of told you guys, I'm not as high on Banks as others are. I was expecting a lot more from his tape than what I saw, and this kind of reflects that. And you can see some of the other picks that went after. So let's break down the tape, right? Who is Membo? Let's get a first impression. This is actually my first impression. I pulled a couple clips. Shout out to my guy Niner Central on Instagram. He actually compiled all these. But I think it's a great first impression of what we can get from Membo. So let's hop right into it. So one of the things that you're going to notice right away is he's a great athlete. He moves exceptionally well. And you're seeing some of the finishes right here that he is capable of. That's always a nice start for an offensive lineman, is to show some pancakes right out the gate. So you like to see that finishing ability, just getting guys on the ground. But as you can see, like, look at his feet right here. The thing that that's what I'm most impressed with this rep is, yes, it's a great finish, but how quickly that 1, 2, his feet are moving really well. And that allows him to maintain the position to do what he just did. This is Jack Sawyer. A lot of 49er fans like Jack Sawyer. out of Ohio State. You could see how well he does in pass protection. Decent kick step. It could be a little bit more violent, but he does a good job keeping his feet together. You can see the balance and the anchor. When he creates contact, look at the way his hips jet out. That's how you anchor and re-engage and make sure that you do not get pushed back. So that is a really good job here. And then, oh, one of my favorites, the snatch. So you're going to see Zero get engaged, and then he's just going to pull down on that hand, and number Zero's instantly going to hit the turf. So there, when you talk about the technical aspect, at least Daniel Jeremiah is talking about, this is it. This is it. This is a good example of that. And we're going to see a couple other ones as well. Um, Here's another example of a finish. Here's another example of pass block into finish. One of the things that I like here is he's able to go straight towards the chest, and the defensive end goes for a chop, and he's got nothing. He's got nothing. And look at the angle and the hip bend right here. This angle is nice because look at pad level, he's lower than the defense. Low man wins, right? So he moves really well. And again, this is also my first impression of him. I haven't gotten to his tape, so this is really the first time I've gotten to look at him as well. And absolutely, you see a lot of those things. I think one of the things that actually kind of jumped out to me is he reminds me of Zach Tom a little bit. And if you guys remember, I was a huge Zach Tom fan, and he's become one of the best offensive linemen in the league for the Green Bay Packers. Drafted in the 4th round after the 49ers had selected um, Spencer Burford. So he's become one of the best tackles in the league as a 4th rounder, but he has similar skills and traits to this. And it was all about movement and technical ability. He might not have been the biggest guy, but it was about technique and how he moved. And you're kind of getting an example of that with this tape right here. You can see he can get out in space, he can move, still collecting bodies. And so for me, there's another example of the technique. Bam, snatch, swipes that arm down. Defensive end completely loses leverage. So at 11, right now, I think it might surprise people just because it's super early on in the process, not really understanding who this guy is and saying like, oh, well, Kelvin Banks is there. Based on what I'm seeing right now, so far I've seen better tape on Membo than I have of Kelvin Banks. So it doesn't shock me. It doesn't shock me. When you talk about a mover, he moves much better than Kelvin Banks. It's kind of why everyone's calling Kelvin Banks a guard and not a tackle, is because he'll play better in a phone booth rather than on an island. And I think that when, I need to do more homework, I need to do a further deep dive into it. But if we're pulling traits, moves well, good feet, good hands, great anchor, great leverage, good pad level, and he looks like he is a finisher as well. So I can't sit here and say that I'm mad at this mock draft. I know 49er fans want an offensive lineman at 11. Doesn't appear Will Campbell will be that guy. And you get a guy with guard, center versatility. I like it. I can't lie. I do. I like the pick. I'm excited to do a little bit more on him. I think he's going to the Senior Bowl. I have to double check, but he'll be a guy on my list. But again, man, I'm a huge fan of Zach Tom, and a lot of the traits that made me a huge fan of Zach Tom I see in his game. So um, I like it. It's a good first impression, but you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.